Governor's consent. So this is what we're starting on today. There's something else. A C of O is issued on land once and once only. Never twice. There's no land that has two C of O's. If it has two, one is fake. Government only issues C of O once and once only. It can be individual C of O, the one you went to get for yourself, or global C of O. Many people are not even aware that where they have land have global C of O. They don't even know. Because it's global. It doesn't cover just you. It covers the entire community or region or area. You know, so when you buy, they'll just say, it has a global C of O. Some people, they might not just tell them, and still they buy. And then when they want to go and process C of O, they'll tell you can't process C of O for this land. You can only do governor's consent. So that's why sometimes it appears like people jump from 0 to governor's consent. It's not so. There's probably been a global C of O issued that encompasses the coordinates of the land you purchased. So they will now issue you a governor's consent on the strength of that. So a governor's consent, this is after a land has got C of O and that land is being sold. Once you sell that land, the only document that land can have now is a governor's consent. Now, what does governor's consent mean? It simply means, just as the name implies, you get the consent of the governor to sell your land. You're telling the governor that, you see that land you gave me C of O on, I have sold it. That's basically what you're doing. Remember, Land Use Act says all lands vested in a state belongs to the people, but is held in trust by the governor. So the governor can take decision on your land. He can seize your land. All you have to do is, I'm doing this for the benefit of the people, and he will take your land. So he pays you to make sure you go and let him know that, you see this land that I have C of O, I have sold it, or I have bought it. And then they will issue you a governor's consent. The governor's consent is usually signed off on a deed of assignment that has already been registered. So that is basically what it is. There can only be one owner of a C of O. Hence, all subsequent buyers of that property will own governor's consent. Now, maybe he owns the land, sells to her. He has C of O. By the time he sells to her, she will get governor's consent. She sells to her too, she will also get governor's consent. She sells to her, she gets governor's consent. You continue, even if you sell it 100 times, you keep getting governor's consent because you have maxed out the titles you can acquire. Government allocation. Now, when you talk about government allocation, these documents are for properties that within government acquisition. I'll give you an instance. You know the Elerongbe area. You know, government initially acquired all that exists. It was like a global acquisition. Now, they have taken the part they want for the airport. They've taken the part they want for any other thing. There are some that they don't have need for. And again, they also acquired in order to have space to resettle people that were removed from the Bejuleki because of the free trade zone and the refinery. Now, they've settled all that matter, but they still have land left, which government does not need to use now. And because of the way development is happening and moving fast, this government has decided, okay, this land, all these lands now that we have acquired, these 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 that we have acquired, let us release 1 and 2 back to the people. Are you with me now? Remember, there was an excision showing that's the family living close by. Let's say we're at the land of Emma now. That family will have an excision showing them that when government acquired this, then they excise that one for them. Their own, that issue is gone. Now, government allocation now is not involving that her own anymore. It's now talking purely about the area the government acquired. Out of that one now, they now said, we don't need 1 and 2. Let's give it back to the people. Government will release this land back, sell it back to the people. But when they sell it back, what will they give you? They will not give you an allocation document. You're not going to get anything concerning that excision anymore. In fact, for you, it never existed. What you will get from government now will be allocation papers. So once they give you allocation papers, you know, there are steps, there are procedures to all of these things. And then you now acquire it, there's a deposit you pay, they give you a time within which you pay the balance, you know, based on how much of the land you acquire. You now go and pay. When you pay in full, you now have your allocation papers. Now, real estate companies, multinational corporations, hospitals, blah, 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 they approach government to do this. When Dangote got his place, that's what he did. Dangote Refinery was not meant to be in Lagos initially. They toyed with a couple of other locations, Ondo State being one of those locations. Reason why? Because Ondo had access to sea. Now, for one reason or the other, maybe the people were not satisfied or they wanted more than they can give. The transaction couldn't happen anymore. They left and they came to Lagos. And the then governor of Lagos said, okay, who was Fashola then, said, okay, I'll give you a space. And he now, I think about 33 villages were relocated in order to give them the quantity of land they required for that project. So they resettled them. That's the people they resettled along the Eleven-way axis. But now, what Dangote will not get will be allocation papers. Because he will pay for it. It's not free. He will pay, and then he will be allocated that area. That's how, you see, they have that axis. Now, with your allocation paper, you cannot proceed and get a C of O. No, allocation, you can commence and do business with your allocation papers. You can't combine it. There are two different documents. You can proceed with your allocation, but you can also say, okay, I want to upgrade this from being just allocation. Yes, I've been allocated, but I want C of O now. You can go and get your C of O. There is no allocated C of O. There are two steps. Step 1, allocation. Step 2, C of O. Separate steps. So, when government approves their request to use the land for a defined goal of plan, government allocates. This document is solely for this purpose. Well, I hope it's clear so far. Yes. Registered survey. An approved survey plan. First, what's a survey? When they say you get a survey document, when you are selling, you will give you, after you make your payment, we'll give you receipt, we'll give you survey, we'll give you XYZ document. When you say survey, what do you mean? If the person should ask you, what's a survey? What would you respond? I'd like to hear. What will be your response if they say, what's a survey? Yes, please.
A survey document is a document that have details of the boundaries of the land.
Okay. Okay.
Just shows it has to do with both the location and the measurement. Everything about the land.
Exactly. That's what a survey shows. A survey will show you if the land is these 4 squares, it shows you. If it is not in a square form, let's say it's rectangular form, this 1, 2, 3, 4 instead, it will also show. Can I have a marker? So, okay. Yeah. Now, a survey, okay, let me move this way. A survey will show you if a land is square, or if the land is not even square. This can also be a plot by measurement. You can still get the same area here and here, but it shows you how the land lies. So that survey document is going to show you whether it is a square like this, or it's a sort of shape like this, or even if it is curved. It's also the survey that will show you. You see the point of having a survey. The survey will show you the coordinates of all of this. That's what the survey is for. So a registered survey is when they have done this survey for you. You now take it, you go to the government and you register it. There are 2 types of survey. Provisional survey, registered survey. Provisional one is one that anybody can do for you. Your local surveyor can do. But the registered survey, there are certain surveyors who are registered by government, licensed by government, that the government will accept their work. So once they do it, they go to the surveyor general, and then they say, yes, I have surveyed this man's land, and it is in this shape, or in this shape, or in this shape, or any other shape for that matter. But these are the coordinates, and I want to register it. Registering it means they will enter it into the books in the land bureau, put stamps on it, and sign off on it. Now, this document, survey document, makes it easy to search land. When you're going to do search and somebody gives you a provisional survey, you go search, you will see anything. Now blank. You won't see anything. But if it's a registered survey, that is when it will show, and it will reflect the name of the person who registered it. And again, a registered survey looks something like this. I also have to cut out, because it has details of people. So I don't want to air somebody's information out there. So I have to just take a little bit of it, just to give you an idea. When you see documents that have things like this, you begin to have an idea what you're looking at. Court judgment is the next one on that titles and ownership. What is a court judgment? Let me ask us. Anybody? Court judgment. I want to hear. What is a court judgment, okay?
Ruling, when maybe there's a dispute on the land and they go to court and there's a ruling on that issue. Maybe they say, okay, this Mr. A and Mr. B have an issue on this land, but Mr. A has won, so the court will give Mr. A a document to show that he is the winner of the case.
Thank you very much. As I was asking, the expert was there, and she is very correct. A situation where ownership of land becomes disputed by parties. Can I have a bottle of water, please? Where a land becomes disputed, and each of them, this person says I'm the owner, the other person says I'm the owner. Who owns it? You find a situation, let us say, please, what's your name, please? Esther and Emma. Same family. Maybe siblings, same father, same mother even. At the end of the day, you know, when it comes to inheritance, they now start. Esther says, this is mine. Emma says, no, it's not yours, it's mine. Daddy gave it to me. Esther says, no, it was me that Daddy gave it to. Who do you believe? They are both siblings from the same family. Because both of them actually have some actual, you know, if they ask you who owns this land, you say it's their family. And they're both from the same family. But she's laying a different claim. They're not now coming together to say, oh yes, it's ours, we own it. Then you can deal with them together in that case. But she's laying claim separately that it's mine, not Esther's. Esther is saying it's mine, not Emma's. I don't know if you guys get what I mean. In that case, how do you resolve it? You can't even call elders. Elders are not there because when Emma says, Daddy gave it to me, and Esther says, Daddy gave it to me, it implies they were both there with their daddy at the time on their own. And no other person was there. But as far as the elders know, they are the owners. But who? Do you get what I mean? I'm just giving, that's just one instance. So there are so many numerous instances that can arise. They will not go to court. And court will not say, okay, bring Esther, bring proof that your daddy gave you that land. That's Twetwe Street. Emma, bring proof that Twetwe belongs to you. Do you understand? So each of them will now begin to look for information that will help them lay claim to Twetwe Street. Do you understand? Each one begins to look for evidence. And if there is no written evidence, like a will, and no living person, maybe a mother, to corroborate, what will they do? They'll have to start giving accounts of incidences that happened to the judge. And when it gets to that point, people will say, oh, it can go either way. But I tell you, there's one thing I have seen by sitting in courts and observing the way that judgments are rendered. If you go to court and they're asking you questions, the truth will come out. No matter how good a liar you are, the truth will come out. They can still subvert that truth, but the truth will be told inside that court. It doesn't mean, like I said, they cannot be subverted, but it will be heard that it must be said. See, those questions, really, those examination and cross-examination, don't be here. You just need to witness it once, and you will understand what I mean. So, when the court finally gives judgment, maybe at the end of the day, Esther is able to bring some other siblings or persons close to the dad that will say, okay, that man now comes. Who are you? He gives his name. How are you related, or what is your interest in this? I worked with their father for all the while from when he was a young man acquiring all these properties till the end. He always said he wanted Esther to get 3 and 4 and Emma to get 1 and 2, if that's what the man says. And this is someone who should know. The court will do that. Or if the man even says, oh, the man intended for Esther to have 2, 3, 4, Emma to have 1, and gives a reason, and the reason makes sense to all that is in that court. But it's neither here nor there. Nobody knows how judgments are arrived at. But whatever the court now rules, if the court says, okay, all belong to Esther, Emma has nothing to do. The only thing Emma can do is she will not say, no, I refuse to accept this. The judgment was not free and fair. And in order for me to get justice, I will appeal the matter. And you see, when it comes to land, the courts of the land are different. If it's land, matters usually begin from customary courts. If the elders cannot settle it, they get to a customary court. Those ones can't do it. It goes to the magistrate, from there to high court. From high court, you appeal it. It goes to appellate court. And after the appeal court, when Emma goes to appeal court, the appeal court reviews all that has been said. And when a matter is in appeal, nobody goes to court except the lawyers. They're not going to call any new person to come give evidence, except something new happens. And they discover that, this person should have been heard, but wasn't heard. In that case, the appeal court might send the matter back to the magistrate or the high court for a retrial, as the case may be. Because appeal courts, they will just review all that has been said without anybody being present. They will review everything that was said. That's why you have in court, there are people called stenographers. The stenographers takes record of every word said, every word. They don't omit anything. They record everything that is said. So if it gets to appeal court, they will review it from beginning to the end and give judgment based on what they have reviewed. Maybe this time they not review that, they not say, no, it should be Emma that should own the land. Esther now says, for waiting, me, I know, take her. She appeals again, Supreme Court. The matter gets to Supreme Court. Again, just like the appeal court, they review the matter again. But it takes a long time because there are fewer Supreme Court justices, and there's a longer, it takes them a longer time because there are plenty things. Everything goes to them. Everything in the whole country goes to them. Those people that are trying, they have no social life, just judges. They don't have social life. They can't even attend their own brother's wedding, naming ceremony, or anything. They're not allowed to do so. But at the end of the day, they take their time, they review, and then I say, okay, this land belongs to Esther. And that is the end of the matter. Once the Supreme Court has given judgment, there is nothing else you can do. The matter ends there. It can only take an act of the legislature. And they're not going to be taking that act to upturn the Supreme Court judgment. They'll be making a new law that because of that judgment, we don't like the way that judgment went. We're putting this and this and this in place for future purposes so that things like this don't happen again. Because remember, the judiciary, they don't make the law. All they do is interpret it. So, everybody, when people talk about what court land titles are greatest, for me, it's court judgment. For the simple reason that whatever a court says is final and binding on everybody. But that is not to say that the others are not good, though. And court judgments only come in when there's a dispute or when the owners are not known. That's when they come in. But once they are given a verdict, it is done. Everyone, whether private or government, you see that must, capitalized, put in red color and underlined, must abide by and respect the decision of the court. That's the way it goes with court decisions. Now, we're now moving to probate ownership. I'm sure for some people, this is the first time they're hearing this. Have we had this before? Probate ownership. Literally, probate, what does that mean? It means to prove it, that a last will is valid, that the will is not a product of undue influence. Sometimes, especially it happens, usually, it can happen anywhere. Usually in families that are wealthy or have a lot of property, maybe companies, and a lot of wealthy families usually go through this. Sometimes a man or a woman might be getting old, advancing in age, and their kids, let us say there is one who is actually quite reckless with the way of life, and senses that this is my papa, the way they see and the way I don't live my life, the way my relationship with them, this man feel no give me enough, can go and blackmail the father or the mother or whoever in order to give him things in the will that he shouldn't give him. It happens. So, probate is telling you, prove that there was no undue influence. Somebody can be ill and the person taking care of the person tells the person, you sign here. You draft the will by yourself, and so you sign. His signature is still his signature. But when people see this, this is not our daddy. He can't sign something like this. That's what it's all about. Now, where the owner of a landed property dies, the next of kin must obtain a grant of probate before exercising ownership. Someone who owns the property dies. Remember, I said this is land ownership and titles. Let us say, to Street, 1, 2, 3, 4. A company wants to buy 1 and 2. The family that owns it, they're there. But the man, the patron of the family, who is the head of the family, who acquired this property, everything is in his name. He is one that will will it to his children. The man is dead. What happens? Who will sign the document? It's only signature, the signature of the man that has died, that the court or any legal process will recognize. Who can sign in his place? In this case now, the family is willing to sell, for instance. But who can sign in the place of the man? His kids are there. Everybody who would benefit from his will are there. And they are all in agreement for the transaction to happen. But whose signature will be recognized? That's where you have this. The person who is the next of kin to that late man must obtain a grant of probate before exercising ownership or control. In a lot of cases, it usually goes to either the wife or the firstborn son. Usually. Not necessarily. They can also pick the lastborn son or any of the middle children to exercise such rights. Now, whoever is chosen to do that must go to court and obtain this grant of probate. So at that point of that transaction, he stands as the owner. And the law will recognize his ownership and his signature in place of the person who actually bought that property. Now, this probate is only when the deceased left a will or a grant of letter of administration. That letter of administration is the other situation where it can arise. I'll get to that. The executors appointed by the will must be willing, capable, and available to act and obtain the assets listed. If that will says the first son of the man can exercise the right of control over all the assets left behind, he will now go to court and get that probate so that he can sign for that transaction to proceed. And any other person in that family that wants anything must get his signature. He becomes the de facto owner. In the case the executors are unwilling, incapable, or unavailable, infants, you know, there are sometimes somebody's children might be infants when they say or has not got to the legal age. And what's the legal age? 18 is recognized by law, and in some countries 21. The person has not reached 18 years of age, but in the will he's the beneficiary. That transaction needs to happen, and everybody has agreed that it should happen. Maybe the owner was even working on it before he passed on. But now, who will sign in his place? Surely not that infant, because in as much as the infant is the owner, the law does not recognize his capability to sign anything, even if he has finished secondary school. But once it's not 18 years of age, it can be 17 and a half. Tomorrow is the birthday, they must sign document today. Tomorrow the child will be 18. Once he hasn't turned 18, cannot sign. You know, a 17-year-old can understand business very well, but still cannot sign. That is where, yes. There has to be a next of kin.
No, you have the next of kin. When the man died,
Mm-hmm.
and the next of kin, after like 6 months, when maybe they mourn the person 6 months, after like 6 months, the next of kin now to die. So there's no next of kin, that means they won't send property close to them.
There must be a next of kin.
Another next of kin.
Yes.
When the next of kin are dying,
Of course. If the man has 2 sons, and the first son becomes the person to sign, and the first son dies, second son automatically has to assume their responsibility. I'm saying, okay, even if that happens, when that situation arises, they now begin to look for the man's brothers. You see? Relatives, of course. You understand? The family of the man now, among his brothers and sisters, will be the ones to now come out. And one of them has to come in now and represent. You know, first of all, the nuclear family is where everything happens. In the absence of sons, you look for daughters. In the absence of daughters, you now look for extended family. And if the extended family is exhausted and there's nobody, the state will now take over everything belonging to the man. Government will take over everything. Have I answered your question? Okay. There's always a next of kin. The last next of kin is government. Yeah. Please. Yeah.
When the two sides, they have issue of land. That side is Esther that hold the land, that people cannot hold the land. Along the line, the judge, like they judge the case, Esther hold the land. But after like 1 year, 2 years, Esther now so people can hold the land.
She's next of kin. The fact that they had a dispute in court does not remove that filial relationship. It's still the sister. Yeah, if Esther now has children, the children first, before you now look for the sister. Do you understand how it goes? Remember, like I said, the law favors the nuclear family. It favors the nuclear family first, and inside the nuclear family where all you have there is in the nuclear family you have the father, mother, you have son, and you have daughter. So this can be multiple. This can be multiple. And in some cases, it never happens that you have multiple here, because even if a woman has kids for different men, each of the child will go to their fathers to inherit. Do you understand? Each of the children will inherit from wherever their father is. But in this particular nuclear family, if this man had more than one wife, there are branches of inheritance. Now he can have multiple sons and multiple daughters. They will all inherit him. You must exhaust all of this first before you now talk about extended family. And here you talk about uncles, aunts, grandparents, cousins. Now, cousins to the man, no, not to his family, cousins to this man. Do you understand? Yes, sir.
My question is, how about if the woman or the man have how do I say it? Gone with joint ownership? No, gone with the son.
The woman to the man's house.
Yes. And the woman never knows the father of the boy. Or they adopted his son before they got pregnant and born his son.
Okay. Now, when we're talking about nuclear family, sons and daughters, the instance you're talking about, let's say Esther, for instance, I'm going to marry Esther, but she already has a child, whether a boy or a girl. I saw that and I said, I still want to marry Esther, and I marry her. By the time the child grows, usually in tradition, if it's a girl, they want to marry that girl. Esther, despite the fact that Esther is my wife now, the girl probably grew up in my house. It behoves on us to invite the girl's father, that they should speak to him. You know, that's customary now. I'm giving you the aspects of the law. Customary law will entail that the father of the girl will still know about her getting married. But if it's a boy, and let's say Esther now has sons for me, or even daughters, when the father of that boy that she came with passes on, that boy will usually inherit from the man and his family. Because assuming the man has no son there, would they not come and say, we want our son, so that the name of the father will not disappear? Do you understand? They will come for that. And Esther or myself are not in the position to stop them. He may have grown up with me. The man might have been a drunk and irresponsible person that never played the role of father. I don't know if you understand what I mean. He may not have played any role as a father in the child's life. But yet, the boy has an inheritance through him. Through me, it will be if I decide, because I see him as a son. I raised him as a son. But in a situation where Esther does not know. Let us say it happened that she was at a party. She got drunk when she was young. Maybe at that point, people now slept with her. She doesn't know who. Or maybe armed robbers even came, raped. Any situation can happen and the woman will not know who the father of her child is. Now that child is with her and I'm marrying Esther. There are options available for me and for that child. I can say, okay, since you're sure you don't, once you don't know the father, you're sure nobody's going to come claim it. I can adopt this child. And how do you do adoption? There's a process. You go to the court, you apply. Let's see, this boy has no father. Stating the circumstances and all that, I wish to adopt. There are lawyers that do that for you. They know the processes. They will do that. I will engage one of those lawyers. They do that. The details of the boy is now taken. Esther's family is put in the notice of what is going to happen. The reason is so that if anybody will jump out from one corner tomorrow to come and claim the boy, there is enough time given for them to come out and claim. If that time expires, the court now says, since nobody has come out, they are going to, that child that Esther had before I met her and married her is now Angelo's son. That boy becomes my son legally. I can introduce the boy to my family and say, I have adopted this boy as my own. He's my child. He's now from my place and he will inherit me as a son should inherit the father. That means I have made him, legalized him, and he can inherit from me. He's also my son for all intents and purposes and recognize that law. I hope I'm clear now. Did I answer your question?
The answer is correct. I want to answer another one.
Okay.
Okay, let me say, if my junior sister and I give birth at home, and the boy has no parent,
No father.
yes, and I take care of the boy, and before I get married, or during the time I get married, or before I get married, and my children know that he's not my son.
Yeah.
How am I going to do about it?
And you
I'm
want,
not getting my own son.
and you want the boy, you raise him as yours. You've accepted him as your son
Yes.
before getting your own son. Now, that situation, now we're now going to the customary side of it, traditions. And and this part is very important because for us as Africans, this is how ours. That's the reason why in the past, there's nothing like an abandoned child. It's recently you have those things because of the advent of, colonialism and the English way of life. In the past, no matter where a child is, let the father, mother, everybody that can take care of that child die. Traditionally, they know who to take that child to. That will take that, they will accept the child as one of them, and the child will have all rights and privileges, whatever they take the child to. But this question is valid. Now, let us say, like he said, now, Esther is my wife. Emma is my sister. Emma has a child at home. She's my sister. She's going to get married. And I'm like, okay, I want this child. And I'm taking care of the child because Emma cannot. She has to go to her husband's house without baggage. Everybody knows she's the owner of she's the mother of the child. But the father of the child may or may not be known. Remember, may or may not be known. If they put it to you that you are the father of this child, and you deny and deny, and they take the normal customary approach, call meetings, go to your people with drinks, palm wine, cola nut, and say, let us say, Ogada is Emma accused her of being the father of her child, and me now being Emma's brother, we go with drinks to his family and say, my sister said you got her pregnant and this is your child. And he says, me, lie, and he says no, denies, and in front of his people, and they accept that denial. We also accept the denial. That means that severance has been done. And you cannot in future come and claim the boy for any purpose. Do you understand? I hope you guys are following it now. He cannot come in future to claim the boy, except we didn't approach them. We left it open. And I say, let me take Emma's son and raise as my child. Tomorrow he can come. Whether we're happy to give him or not, he can come. But if we make a formal approach to them, this is what is transpiring. And they say, no, we have no hand in this. Emma cries. I say, my sister, don't cry. Come, see this boy? Give that child to me. I'll raise him as my child. Everybody knows he's not mine. And later I marry Esther, and Esther has kids for me. That boy will get inheritance from me. Because I would have come back and told my people that since the person who is supposed to be the father has denied the child, I want to adopt the child and make him a bona fide member of this family. I hope it's clear now. So I don't know if your question is getting the answer it deserves.
That means, in that case, if you write wills, we don't write
Yeah.
Unless you write will, you put a will down before all those things. If you don't put a will down, this be a woman, you know what you can do.
She's very correct.
What can we do? If I don't, and somebody children come and take my you know that kind of thing.
It happens everywhere.
It happens everywhere.
Is it Yoruba land too? Is it Hausa
It
land?
happens everywhere.
Oh yeah. In fact, the entire Africa. Is that, you know, you only know the one that happens in your own. You're more familiar with the one that happens in your own tribe and community. It happens everywhere. There are kids in Lagos here that have no villages. They are Yoruba, father Yoruba, mother Yoruba, but they have no village. There are some that are even in the villages and still they're not accepted. There are some in Akwa Ibom. There was one time I saw a documentary, a little girl, the father and mother died. She lives in the house is falling down, the bushes have overgrown the place. And this girl is how old? 9 years old. Nobody cares for her. What does she do? She goes with her basin to go, and you know, where people palm fruit fall from tree, or where they've cut it down, the owners have carried the bunch. She goes to pick the remnants, the fuel on the floor, gathers as many as she can, goes to the market. You know, people will just look at it. This thing you're selling is not enough. They just take it and give her any amount they like. The girl cooks. In fact, it was so sad. But in the old days, you cannot have that situation. That child has family. That's why the extended family is bad though, but he has his pluses. But in the situation we're talking about, usually there's a will. But you see, when it comes to things in the village, the people in the village would never allow you to remove that child because that child was accepted normally. But anything the man owns outside, you can, at your own, you know, the woman can at her discretion say, no, this one is not my own child, and do all funny things. But that child is legitimately the man's child because he adopted. Okay, so let's get back. So that is probate ownership for you. You must prove. And when you prove, it's your signature that will now be in place of the actual person who procured and owned that document. Letter of administration. Now, this is usually where a person dies intestate. Can we tell me what intestate means? Yeah, somebody dies without a will. Not the person has died, the person has passed. Yeah, must have passed for it to be intestate. Do you understand? If someone passes on without a valid will, that person has passed on intestate. That is where letter of administration comes in. This document is issued to the suitable next of kin. See the word suitable. In the other one, probate, they just said issue to the next of kin. Because that one is already known. There is a will. The next of kin is known, stated in the will even. But in this case, it's not known. You don't know who it will be. Sometimes it even ends up being, next of kin ends up being not even a member of the family. Yeah. The suitable party called the administrator of the estate can be a spouse, children, parents, siblings, grandparents, half-blood siblings, or uncles and aunts of the deceased, or in some cases, companies. Have you heard about these companies called trustees? Trustees companies that are trustees, registrars and trustees. When they say a company is both, I'll give an instance. You have like, is it guarantee registrars and trustees? They're a body of trustees, yes. But I'm just, in this one that I'm talking about, the beautiful. Good. Do you know why that is so? You know when this thing happened? When banks were asked, because a lot of times you find that monies in banks become issues of dispute. There was a time banks will tell people who have a lot of money, we hope you have a will. We hope you have arranged things properly. And sometimes, these people, maybe I'm a polygamist. I'm not sure if I give any of my wives the power. The other ones and their children don't hear them. And you know, a man, a reasonable man, wants his family to be okay because they are his family. It is now maybe amongst the wives, there might be challenges, or even amongst the kids. One child might not like another. Challenges come up from there. But wherever it will come up from, you know, there are trustees, companies that are trustees. you can go to them and say, okay, be the administrator and executor of my estate. So when the person dies, they will now come in and read the will and say, he has apportioned XYZ to the first wife, second wife, third wife, and all the children. He names all the people he wants to give. Even a person who wants to give things to his family, let's say his brothers and sisters, aside his children, it's best you do a will and state what you're giving to them in that will. Otherwise, then go whole ground. But now we're talking about letter of administration. This happens when a person dies intestate, no will. With interest, the law cannot grant transfer of ownership to any party. However, there is a ranking for entitlement. In the case of equal ranking, the court has the power to accept one or more. What this means is somebody does not write a will and dies. His family will go to court and say, because in this case, there are some families, when the person dies, all the family will say, okay, have a meeting. Let's say the children only and their mom. Or let's even say just the kids. Let's say the man has 4 sons. Amongst the 4 sons, they look at themselves. Daddy did not have a will, but he has substantial property, lands and properties. How are we likely to share this? They have a meeting amongst themselves. Once they agree on something amongst themselves, they now approach the court to validate what they have agreed on. You see that kind of family, they work together and things move forward. But sometimes, some of them will say, no, you see this building, go. It can't go to you. I want it. They will say, no, but it's not you that should get this. You're getting the other one. You can't get that one and this. Lie, I want this and I want that. You're being greedy. Let us share for whatever reason. Whether rightly or wrongly, there's a dispute. And the man did not leave a will. They have to approach the court. All the family, or all the people who are liable to inherit the man will approach the court. The court will now hear everybody's position and give them a way forward. Usually the court will, there is a probate court, a separate court for things like this. Because this time now, nobody has committed a wrong, but everybody wants a piece of something. There's usually a probate court for these things that will hear the matter and resolve it and take a decision from there. And that decision is what will stand. And if the man has property and the transaction is about to happen, but that family dispute is standing in way of that business, that land business, this is how it is settled. Do you see the reason why I'm bringing these things here? They seem to be regarding other things, but they play a major role in lands and property. That's why sometimes, like, let's say, the way Yorubas, in Yoruba culture, a man has a building of, let's say, 6 flats, and he has 6 children, let's say 3 boys, 3 girls. Everybody gets a flat, right? Yes. That's why suddenly you wake up and you find out you have a new landlord. One landlord is serving increment letter to you of rent. The other one is more reasonable and says, let me hold on for now. Or he's just not interested in looking to the property for now. What this tenant is going through may not be what the next one is going through. Why? Because in one building now, there are different landlords. It has the advantages. It shows that, it's easy to apportion property. But the disadvantage in such instances is, if that property needs renovation, will they all agree to bring money to renovate? That's why sometimes you see some properties will become dilapidated and begin to go down and lose value. And some families actually go to court to fight others. Let's renovate so that we can enjoy this property for 20 more years. But you say, no, I don't care. Are we all together? Deed of assent. All these things I'm saying to you is important. And do you know the reason why I'm saying they're important? Because the deeper you go into real estate sales, you're going to come across situations where your client is interested in the property and these situations are around the property. So that you know what is expected to happen. So that you don't just run from a transaction that's actually lucrative because you do not understand what is supposed to happen for it to move forward. Do you understand me? Good. So, deed of assent. Someone should read out the first part here. Please, a microphone so that you can read out. Somebody was reading for us. Go on.
It grants the beneficiary legitimate ownership over a gift given by a will. The asset confers lawful ownership of a gift in a will and not the will itself, on the beneficiary of an estate or any third party by executors or the legal administrators of estates. Where a deed of asset has been executed to favor the beneficiaries, a third party cannot make claim to that same property conferred on the beneficiary of beneficiaries.
Good. This is easy enough, right? Doesn't need explanation now. Huh? It needs okay. Okay. So basically, what does deed of assent entail? Let us say, when a man was alive and before he passed, he had one very loyal staff that goes everywhere. Some people have staff like that. They've worked with them most of their life. Like family member. And let's say this tweet were plot 1, 2, 3, 4. We keep going back to this tweet today. So the man now says, for your loyalty, being with me and everything. Maybe the person is his driver and illiterate. I gift you plot B on Twetwe. And the man's children or family comes up and says, this place now, this Twetwe is located in Lekio. The value of this B is very high. Why didn't Daddy give him one in Nekbe or, elsewhere? But the man, because knows the value of that loyalty or whatever it is he had with that person, gave him that gift. It is this deed of assent that you use to validate that ownership. Because if you don't do that, the man happily goes and says, for me, I can't live in Lekio, I want to sell. Can he sell? If he doesn't do this. Yes, it has been gifted to him, but he cannot sell it except he goes through this process. So if you, as the realtor that is brokering that transaction, comes up against this situation, the man tells you the story of it and shows you probably a copy of the will where it is willed to him. And you look at it, this thing, even with this, it can't fly. You now know what to do because you know about this deed of assent. You know that with that probate judgment or the letter of administration, you can still go back and then get the court to sign off this deed of assent to you so that gift becomes a valid one. That's basically what it does. Yes? What about? While on? Oh, say, I'll be local Peking. Say me, that deep village I'm from. Sometimes I don't hear all this English way. So, deed of mortgage. A deed of mortgage shows that the real estate has been transferred from the borrower to the lender. That one, we should be well aware of this now. Yes. This one is straight. I'm sure this one don't need much explanation. You know where this comes up? Usually when somebody or a family or people or a club or a group of people who own or one person goes to a bank to go and take a loan and pledges that property as collateral. It mustn't be a bank though. You can even take a loan from an individual. And you say, hold this land. If I don't pay, it becomes yours. And within the period you should pay. You don't pay back, and then it then becomes an issue. The person who you gave it to. Because when you do a deed of mortgage, what it means is you take your original documents and hand over to them, and you get a letter from them that says, I'm giving them this, but for this period that I'm owing them. When I pay my money, they are to return my original documents to me. But you must hand over your original documents. But you now have that letter. So once it goes on, that is how it is. Now, once the loan amount and accrued interest have been paid, you get back your document. But if you fail to pay back, that's when you hear that banks have foreclosed on the person's property. Means they've taken over the property because it could not be paid. But there's this, yes, please.
Like, for example, now, you borrow money from the bank.
Yeah.
You pay finish. You pay the money.
They'll still, of course.
What about after 5 years, you can't balance for?
You can't be repaying that at will. Let's ask again so other people can hear. Please give her the mic. Okay. I hope you guys can hear her though.
So you now use one of your house. Now use one of your house to stand. You now pay half of the borrow. You can't pay again. Maybe you have to issue of money. So bank will now put leg on top.
Basically.
What I said,
that's usually for obas.
Don't go to the bank and pay.
No, you can't. Let me tell you what happens. Now, if you borrow money from a bank or from a lender, even an individual, what happens is once the term expires and you're unable to pay, they will foreclose. Once you're, I'm giving these different scenarios. Once, if you're unable to even pay at all, they will foreclose. They will take your property. That means the deed of mortgage has been executed. They'll take it over, take over the property, possession taking. They'll just go to court and validate it that yes, this person failed to pay also. See the terms of the loan I gave the person. He failed to pay at all. So I'm taking over the property. Court will say, take over the property, and it's done. Now, where the person has paid a part of that money, but have not concluded the payment, the person cannot take the property. The person can, like that. You can't take it and own it. What usually they will do is they will take the property first and sell, put it in the market for sale. After it has been sold, let us say you borrowed 10 million and you've paid 6 million, remaining 4 million. Or let's say you've paid 8 million, remaining 2 million. They will sell your house, that your house you use as well. The 20 million collateral house. They sell that 20 million naira house. Collect their 2 million that's remaining and give you the balance 18 million. Less charges incurred and commission and other things. You will not have excess money in your hand, but your property is gone. That's the law. It's the contract you entered into. If you know you don't want to lose, even if the balance on the money is 1 million or 500,000 and your asset is worth 50 million, they will sell that 50 million property. They can't take it over because you have paid most of the money. If you haven't paid at all, they can take it and it's theirs if they wish to. But because you have paid part of it, even if you paid most of it, remaining 100,000 only, they will sell it, collect their 100,000 and remove all the charges for whatever bills were incurred in the process and give you the balance 40-something billion. The only other way is you go and find money somewhere, pay them, get a longer time from the new people. I hope that's answered now. Deed of gift. Someone read this for us. Someone read this. So who is reading for us? Okay, if we're not reading now, let's move to the next one. Okay, go ahead, please.
A deed of gift is a land title that proves.
Oh, I'm sorry.
A deed of gift is a land title that proves the land or property has been given from the donor to the donee. Similar to the deed of mortgage, the donor is the individual transferring ownership of land, while the donee takes possession of the land as granted by the original owner. This transfer can be a permanent agreement and is supported by the government. During this transfer, no stamp duty is necessary as no payment was made by the donor for the property. However, registration fees, consent fees, and capital gains tax will be paid. The governor's consent should be obtained in the state where the landed property is located.
This one is easy now. There's something you guys should take note. Remember the other time we did deed of assent, right? If a deed of gift is done, that's if something is gifted to somebody. With this deed of gift, you have to go and get your deed of assent. Where is it? Yeah, registration fees, consent fees, that's the assent and rest. Capital, yes, and capital gains tax will be paid. After that, you've done all of that and they've given you a deed of assent, you can now, with that deed of assent, proceed to go and meet the state government and the ministry, and then they will now give you a governor's consent. That governor's consent now fully vests the title of plot B on 12th Street on the driver of the man. You see, but it says something here of note. No, the capital gains tax will be paid, and then you're not going to pay stamp duty. Where's that again? Okay, good. Now, no stamp duty will be paid. You know why you don't pay stamp duty? Because money was not exchanged. It's a gift. Stamp duty is an amount you pay to government because, see, you are able to afford this XYZ amount for a property or for an item. For you to be able to, for this property you have paid, you pay so amount as stamp duty. You give us a portion of it. The government collect commission. That's stamp duty. Do you understand? And it's calculated. They have their ways of calculating it. They calculate based on location, value of property, use of property, so many different things. Yes, please. There is a will. The will stipulated that it's a gift. So after the will, the document they will now give you after that will has said that from the executors and all that will be that deed of gift. With that deed of gift, you now go and get consent and on that deed of assent. You see the steps the law takes to recognize transfer of property from one person to the other. If all these steps are not properly followed, when you do a transaction on the land such as this, somebody else will come from nowhere and claim that land. Do you understand? So these are legal steps that the law recognizes. Once a gift is given to you, somebody gives you a land, you didn't buy it. Normally you pay for land, you buy. If you buy, it's different. You paid money, there's consideration. But in this case, you didn't pay any money. The reason why all these things are necessary is so that government will recognize that it was a gift to you. The essence is to prove that it's a gift. Nobody dispute this, then they give you deed. After that, you now use both. Either you get this deed of gift or you have that deed of asset. Each of them, anyone you have, now use that to go and get a governor's consent. I don't know if you understand now. So, but it depends on the circumstance.
I was thinking that it's necessary for you to get deed of asset. While that with this deed of gift now, I was thinking that you must get deed of asset before you can get your governor's consent.
I know, they just give you, you pay the consent fees. That consent fees, governor's consent fees. Pay the monies government have. Government will evaluate the property based on where it is. Tell you pay so and so amount. I will give you governor's consent. No, not necessarily. It depends on how it comes to you. But they are both gifts. One of them, in one of them is deed of assent you get. The other one is deed of gift. In some places they are one and the same, depending on the country. But in this our own client, depends on how that gift has come to you. That's what will make it either deed of gift or deed of assent. Whichever one you have, it means that like deed of assent. Let me give you an instance of some of the ways they can arrive. Gift is clear, it's gift. Deed of assent, if the family decides that okay, yes, this man has served our daddy for so long, let's agree to give him. They've all agreed it's an assent. It's not their own property, it's their father's property. But they agree to give that's deed of assent. Do you see how it arises? But in this deed of gift, you have been gifted this. The man stated in his will, I'm giving Emma. Do you see it? So with it, anyone you have, you now proceed to go and get your consent.
My question is, this is a deed of gift. Is it limited to Lagos here?
Nationwide, Nigeria. All of these things I'm talking about are applied to Lagos. The only thing that is usually peculiar is like when you get to the aspect of excision and visits, they're usually peculiar to Lagos State. But the rest, every other thing we've been talking about is nationwide. Right of occupancy. You want to ask a question? Okay.
Deed of assignment, is it the same thing as deed of assignment?
No. Deed of assignment is simply when you have bought a land from a family. The deed of assignment transfers ownership from one person to another, from the original owners of the land to another. For instance, now, he has a property, he sells to her. He is the aborigine, that's the original owner of the land. He gives her deed of assignment. She later sells her land to her. She will still need to, there has to be an introduction made to him. He will issue her deed of assignment, but she bought the land from her. Now she again sells the land to her. She pays to her, but she also has to pay him a token for deed of assignment. Deed of assignment always comes from the original owner of the land, but you're buying from whoever you're reselling to. That's why when you buy land, they'll tell you, let's go and meet family. You find them something, they'll issue you deed of assignment. You're simply telling them that, letting them know that you have sold your interest or transferred your interest from yourself to another person. That's why it's a token, it's not a fixed amount. Yes, please.
She decided to gift me the land. Now, is it instead of getting deed of assignment from him, or I'll get deed of assignment from him and then still go to court to get deed of gift?
by the time you're
Or I'll
approaching,
cancel deed of assignment.
all this, you see, there are levels of ownership of land. There are levels of all these titles. By the time you get the CFO and governor's consent, you're no longer needing a lot of the things. Because now the governor is involved. Before now, the governor wasn't involved. By the time you get to the level of CFO and governor's consent, governor is now involved. So if you have governor's signature, who else do you need a signature? Do you understand now?
So if you buy a land, it's governor consent or so. You don't need deed.
All the things is done on that deed. You see, that deed has now been, by the time you're getting CFO, that deed is registered, right? And the governor is aware that that family has sold. Any other thing you're doing, the governor. Yeah, exactly. It's that deed you have to submit. At that point, even the governor's consent, because you get 100 governor's consent, it will still be on that same deed that they signed it on.
So let's say he has a property that has governor's consent, the governor's signature, he now gives it to me. Does it mean I don't need this deed? Or I'll still go with that?
Remember, transactions that the law recognizes are where consideration has passed. Consideration is money exchange hands. That's what they will ask. Once you say a property has moved from one person to the other, they'll ask, did money exchange hands? If it is yes, it's valid. But if it is no, they begin to scrutinize. What now makes it valid if money was not exchanged? It is this deed of gift or deed of assent, as the case may be. It's the court that gives you that. Do you understand? Because that's to scrutinize it and ensure that everybody who knows something about it is aware that this thing was gifted without exchange of money. That's the reason why no stamp duty is paid. Because transactions that the law recognizes are pecuniary transactions. You transfer ownership, it's expected that money has been paid. Maybe we'll have a discussion, you and I. I say I want to buy your property, your land. And you give me documents expecting payment. And I go ahead and begin to act like it is mine. And maybe because I probably have more money than you, and now start restricting your access to the property. If you go to court, what the court will ask is, did money exchange hands? And you say no. And I say yes. It's okay. Since you say you didn't receive any money and I say I sent you money, where's the evidence that I sent you money? Do you see it? If I can provide that evidence, they will say yes, I did that transaction with you. But if I can't, they will give you back your land. You see how it works now?
So someone can go and claim back the land they have given to their government.
You can claim it back. In a lot of families, such things have become an issue. When the man was alive, he gifted land to a friend or a brother. While the children were there, they are not saying anything. Once the man dies, the children now go and reclaim. And that one is saying, no, he gifted me this. But if, when they were both alive, they had done maybe deed of gift, the man gifting signs, the one that is receiving signs, who can argue? Do you see what I mean? So you understand how it works. Or if it is one that if the man who owns the gift cannot do it on his own, and they now bring deed of asset, he signs. Other people who are witnesses to it signs. And the person receiving signs. Showing that other people, even if the man has lost his mind, other people are aware of it. And they give him the thing. Who can argue? It becomes a valid transaction at law.
I want to ask another question.
Please ask.
Okay, this is a gift of maybe the person you have given the land is dead and they bury the person, the wife and the husband, inside the compound. And later your children grown up. Are they possibly claim the land without this document?
You see, traditionally, some people use that to look for trouble. They see that maybe when their dad was alive, he gifted somebody maybe the next plot of land there. When their father dies, maybe because they have more money than the man, they now say, our daddy said we should bury him in their land. It shouldn't be. Because you allow them to bury the man there, they will not come back and claim that land. They say, if he gave you the land, why did we now bury him there? You understand? Some people are treacherous. There is no amount of trickery that the human mind cannot get up to. But if it's a family that is reasonable, and they know that their family, that daddy gifted the land, they won't bother. No matter how valuable it is. For some of them, they agreed because that's at that time, let us say somebody was gifted land in Lakwe, and Lakwe was bush then. They won't mind. But now, after some years, they see that Lakwe has developed. They now say, no, we can't leave that for him again. No. You understand? They come up with all kinds of crazy means to go and start trouble. So, but what they do, basically, that's what you see. Now, that is where I'm telling you guys that as real estate salespeople that you are, if you know that the condition by which somebody came about a land is any of these scenarios that we are painting, and the person, your own client, is interested in that land, please and please encourage the person to complete this process. Because once it's completed, nobody can come tomorrow from anywhere to lay claims. Do you see? Because at the time you are selling, maybe the family hasn't decided to start claiming. You can bring your client to buy, and then tomorrow, the man dies that gifted it. His children now come fighting, and they say, no, this man sold that this land illegally. Your client now calls you, what kind of place did you take me to? What do you now say? But if you have taken time and you realize that this is a scenario that was obtainable, and you made moves to avert it by ensuring that that man goes to get the proper documentation before your client buys.
So it is gift of
Exactly. Yes.
This
Advent care.
and deed of gift. Is it only through a lawyer that you can get it, or is it something you can also get at a land bureau?
Court.
Through a lawyer.
A court.
You just want me to court or through a lawyer?
You can go through a lawyer, you can go to a court. If you go to the court and find out that the process requires you to have a lawyer, good and fine. But it's a court that would do this for you. Right of occupancy. Someone read that, please. Let someone else read. Not only then they for this list. Okay, go ahead. Read it.
And is the right of an individual or community to legally use land or occupy land under the customary laws. This is granted for agricultural, residential, and other uses. The state of government is entrusted with the authority to bestow the right of occupancy for any purpose, regardless of whether it is a rural or urban area.
Beautiful. Well, we understand this all right. You have C of O, certificate of occupancy. You have R of O, right of occupancy. Where in Nigeria do you find this predominantly? Nope. Abuja. It occurs across, I said predominantly. You only have it sparsely in states. It occurs across the entire Nigeria. You understand? Even Lagos has some R of O's, but it is predominant in Abuja.
Governor's consent. That before governor's consent came into play, that it was right of occupancy.
I don't know about that. There is no old name for anything. The law has stated what it has stated. It commenced with the Land Use Act 1978. Before then, you simply do transaction on land, you buy it, you own it in perpetuity. And from 1978, it says if you buy land, you own it for 99 years. What happens after 99 years, it doesn't say. Now you have a governor's C of O that can be issued once and only once. So if they've issued you a C of O and another person buys, what do? You give them governor's consent. But in this case, what this one is telling you is that all lands belong to government, right? They give you the right to occupy it for a time. Usually, again, that 99 years. It's so similar to C of O. You understand? The same things that apply to C of O applies here. But in this instance, it's right of occupancy. So they give you the right to occupy it for 99 years. After 99 years, we'll never know what will happen again. Maybe a case has to come from Abuja axis for us to also know what the court will say will happen after 99 years of an R of O. But it is usual for Abuja. Remember, and again, when it was being read, it said for pastoral areas. You know, Abuja as it is today. Who are the indigenous people of Abuja? The Gwaris. Gwari. They are the Gwaris. But their own area is just a little part of it. A lot of it was taken from other states. And once it was taken from them, they have no rights to it anymore. So the federal government decides to be issuing, they also issue C of O as well in Abuja, I'll mind you. But this is more common in Abuja. but it confers to you rights just like the C of O. So, it tells you, occupy. Wike, the current minister of FCT, is telling people who have even R of O, if you don't develop your land, I'm taking it from you. Remember, any land can be seized, except one where there is a court judgment. You can't, and you don't dare touch that one. You must have a law, a new law enacted before you can touch that one. And who has time to go and meet National Assembly and tell them to do a law so that I can collect this particular land? But anyone, any other land, even with C of O, R of O, can be collected from you. Government can take it back. If they determine that you used it wrongly, they will take it without compensation. But if you're using it rightly and they need it for welfare of people, they will compensate you. So, that is R of O. I hope it's clear. Land purchase document. This one, and I suppose not this one now. When one of they sing and like song. If somebody wants to buy property, they say, okay, the person asks you, if I buy this land, what am I getting? Ha! You begin to rap. Blah, 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 purchase receipt, contract of sale, deed of assent, blah, 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 location letter. Acknowledge. But that one is not a land purchase document. Acknowledgement letter is simply saying we received money. The receipt does the job. It's a the acknowledgement letter is before I issue you receipt. I'm writing you that yes, I have seen your money. I haven't issued you receipt yet, but I've received your money. So the receipt does, it's something before receipt. But if they issue receipt, you don't need that acknowledgement letter anymore. So these are the land purchase documents. Somebody read out this.
A purchase receipt is in a real estate transaction is a document or receipt acknowledging the payment for land or property. This receipt has to distinctly show the names and signature of the purchase. Typically, vendors confer a purchase receipt to the buyer upon the sale of the property. However, the receipt may be ruled out where the clause for receipt is contained in the document transferring the land. A land purchase receipt must also show the amount paid and the full name of the buyer and seller boldly. It is usually required when registering the land.
This receipt is what we normally show. You know, this is evidence that money has exchanged hands. Exactly. But now we can use what's it called? Statement of account too, or transfer receipts that you receive from the bank to show that you send money to somebody on behalf of. That's why whenever you're doing a transfer or your client is going to make payment for money for land, it's best they state, you know that place where they say talk the story, talk and well, so that you know anybody that sees it knows that this is the purpose for which it's transferred.
I had an experience like that.
Okay.
Now, made me realize that every time my client buys something, that narration must place it.
You must.
So
It's important.
whenever I make a purchase, I'll say, sir, write the narrative. So I've paid 1 million, balance, so. You know, he pays, and we just kept the documentation up to the point when he finished paying. Only for the company to come and say the client is owing 500,000. I said, for where? He said, I know he's owing. I said, bring your receipts. But by the time we showed the records of the way he kept deducting, you know, he kept writing the narrative continuously, it showed that he had paid, so they now apologized. So that narration is key.
Key is the word.
When your client is paying.
Is
Because
key.
the company many times might not be asked. They change staff. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
So you must tell, and because of that, my clients don't joke with me because I put it as if, man, you have to do it this way. Another one now is still saying that, in short, another one, we finished paying, and they said he did not pay 1 million. This is yet another company. So they printed it. So I sent the receipts, and I always tell my clients, make sure you send to me, because Yawa gas, you're on your own if I don't have it. So I sent the receipt. They say he paid, he's owing 1 million. I said, for where? November, see the receipt. You people did not issue receipt. So it was resolved. So I just want to encourage everybody. That narration, don't joke with it.
Don't joke with it too. It's very important. You understand? You see, it's even more important because you can buy multiple property from a particular individual or company. Each time you're buying, state it. Purchase of You know, the space is limited. Some allow you to write more, some will not allow you so much. Even if it's not allowing you to write the long story you want, purchase of land, you know, balance XYZ. Put all these things, that as much as can be contained for you to recognize and identify that particular transaction. Make sure you do so and advise your client to follow through. Contract of sale. Someone read this.
The contract of sale is a legal document that gives the authorities of what is being purchased and account of payment to be made at intervals. The contract of sale of land is used by parties to agree on some terms before the finalization of the transaction. It is relevant when a property is to be purchased by anyone. It is not a registrable instrument and must be preceded by other documents transferring title, blah, blah, blah.
Transferring title to the applicable property. Now, a contract of sale, the key when you're talking about contract of sale is interval payments. If you're making payment outright, you don't need a contract of sale. A contract of sale stipulates payment like, okay, like especially when you sell installment payment property to a client. It states that in this contract, this client is buying a land valued 3.5 million. Initial payment 1.5 million. You know, to be paid at 500,000 monthly by as at so dates for the next 4, 5, or 6 months. It takes to complete 4 months. It takes to complete the remaining payment. So it is a legal document. You know, it is not one that will terminate the contract, but it's one that can be used in court. You know, but you cannot use it to register your property with government. It only states intervals and amounts of payments you're going to be making. I hope that's clear enough. Deed of assignment. For this one now, we're reading out from here. But this document explains that a section of the property has been assigned to the purchaser. You know, when you have a survey, for instance, now you buy land from Anchor Heights. Is the light coming up soon? Now you purchase land from Anchor Heights. Let us say this is Anchor Heights Estate. It is apportioned into plots and numbered. Let us say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. A deed of assignment is going to say that this entire area belongs to Anchor Heights. And now, because Angelo has paid and purchased one plot, plot 4 in Anchor Heights Estate belongs to Angelo. Do you understand? It's showing that out of the entire estate, let us say this is the Acropolis, for instance. Acropolis Estate. Angelo has bought a plot within the Acropolis, and that is plot 6. What number is that? Plot 6, yes. Plot 6 has been ownership of plot 6 out of the entire estate has been transferred to Angelo. So each person buying plots will receive a similar document for their own plots, transferring ownership of those plots to them, as the case may be. So that is what deed of assignment does for us. It is also called a deed of, that's another name, deed of waiting. Deed of conveyance. That one is easy now. Everybody supposed to know that one. That's not what we don't do. We don't run the matter since. Now, it's also different from receipt, you have to know. It's different from contract of sale. So, but it transfers ownership, the rights you have to that plot 6. It means that in plot 6, Anchor Heights do not have the power over it again. It now belongs to Angelo because Angelo has paid money for it. Now, it also has the date of transaction. It has the details of the property. And again, the transfer of ownership. If a deed of assignment that Anchor Heights issues to me is taken to the state government and registered, it becomes what? Nope. It becomes a registered deed. It can't become a governor's consent. I didn't apply for governor's consent. I get money to apply for governor's consent.
So you can actually register it.
Yeah. A deed can be registered. Survey can be registered. You have a registered survey. And you register your deed. It's when you register your deed that you cannot use it to apply for C of O or governor's consent, as the case may be. Exactly.
Is it who signs it? The government of this rights. So at the end of the day, your deed is given to you. Your deed of assignment comes back on that deed submitted. Along with all your payment, you have to make some payment along the line. So everything is registered.
Yeah, basically that document you've given them, it comes back to you. But now it comes back to you with different stamps and signatures on the face of it. It's not actually an expensive thing to register a deed. What may cost you more is when you want to do C of O and governor's consent, because that's where they value the property and all of that. You understand? So, and there's something I always tell people, whenever you buy property, especially if you buy from a money dealers, go and register your deed. Go and register your survey. Do you know why? So that when somebody goes to do a search, if a person goes to do a search, they try to resell it, and that person has sense enough to go and do a search. That search will show up your name. Do you understand? It will show your name. And when something has shown another person's name, you have no. That's like sometimes some people just buy property. They just after they have bought it, they try to lay claims to it and it doesn't work. What do? They have been scammed. But meanwhile, if they actually did a search, the name of the person trying to sell it to them is not the name there, it's your name because you have bought it and you have gone and registered it, and the government now recognizes you as the owner. So even if they let them sell, your land, not your land. You're going to say something.
If you buy, some people believe that once they pay for the land is theirs. It is not yours until you register your son.
You understand?
The same person that sold to you can sell to another person. Do you understand? While you are sleeping on your land, the other person has gone to survey do registration. How do you not pay that? You are the owner of the land.
Do you see?
You buy a land, another person. I said when somebody buy a land and another person register the land.
If you buy first and you fail to do any of this, and someone buys after you and goes to do it, the law recognizes that person. Take what? Oh, okay. You want us to go back? No, we're still on deed. We're still on deed. So there it is. You have the deed of assignment story on the board now. Everything I have said while the light was off. Now you're seeing it. So if you're done, we can move forward. Yeah, please. There are some that are not plenty. Depends on what you're buying, where you're buying, and all of that. Because they have a lot of things that they want to put out clearly. You understand? They have a lot of things that they want you to understand about it. That's why it's bulky. There are some that are one page. Okay, you mean the number of copies they issue to you? Everything must be signed first. There are different, you see, parties involved in the transaction. The buyer gets one. The seller gets one. You, if you wish. Yeah, if you wish, because it's your choice to do so. Do you understand? And you send one back to the original family, who are the aborigines. But it depends on the number of individuals involved in the transaction. That's why you see they're all the same thing, but just sign them. So everybody gets it. Everybody needs one copy. Everybody actually needs one copy. So that is it. So if you register, if you take it to the land registry, it will be approved and authenticated through the registered conveyance or governor's consent after it has been stamped at the duty office. Survey plan. We've talked about survey plan earlier. It simply shows you the boundaries of a property or a piece of land. Now, once it is mapped, it shows you the type of title that it has. Whether it's excise land, gazetted C of O, whatever it is, it's still under, or if it is still under government acquisition, the survey will show. So, it does not need to be registered, but you can register it. Now, that is the reason for that statement. It does not need to be registered. You can, and usually, if you buy from companies, or even if you buy from moneyless and you say, they'll tell you, I bring a social amount for survey. It's usually provisional survey. Except you are specific. I want it registered. Then they'll tell you, it costs more. Whenever you talk about registering it, they won't tell you it's not possible. They say, that will cost you more. But if you pay them what that amount, and they'll go and do it, register it, and when it comes back to you, that's what they now call a red copy. If you've heard of red copy. Exactly. In the books of government, if someone goes to do a search, your name will show. It's a surveyor that does it. It's a surveyor that's licensed with that state. Every state licenses has a, in every state there is Office of Surveyor General. I work together. There's a Surveyor General's office in every state. So that Surveyor General licenses some surveyors that they work with. So if a document comes from one of those licensed surveyors, they will accept. But if any other surveyor brings it, no. That surveyor has to still go through one that is registered with the state. So it's not something you usually chase on your own. You have to go through your surveyor or one of the approved and licensed surveyors in the state. They will go and do it for you and bring back your documents stamped and signed for you. And then it becomes a red copy. Allocation letter. This is usually for real estate company, but it should apply to every, so long as, for instance, you see this expanse of land here. Whoever owns it decides to sell a plot to different people. Each person should actually get an allocation letter. But if you do things with the moneyless, before, a lot of the moneyless used to be stark illiterates. But now, a lot of them are learned, even more than you. There are professors that are still on moneyless. Do you understand? So, they should give allocation letter to show that out of all that land that they own, they have sold this part and they are giving you that particular plot that you have bought from them. But a lot of times they don't do it. They can't be bothered. They don't collect their money. They don't move. Then they go shop and first. So it behoves on you to ensure that your client, who is also probably not aware of what and what to do. Remember, the reason I'm teaching all these things is so that when you have a client, you're guiding them properly. You know what to expect. So it behoves on you to ensure that your client gets these things. You know who you can get them a surveyor that will come and do the survey and then go and register and then know how to ask for the deed of assignment and get it. And register if needs be. So allocation letter is what allocates out of this whole estate. I have an allocation letter from Anchor Heights that in Acropolis, plot 6 belongs to Angelo after he has paid the total sum he's supposed to pay. And then he can now proceed to build if he so desires. There are some companies that do allocation in batches. Some others do instant allocation, depending on features and uses of the land. And I ask this question, where should you buy land in Lagos? People tell me. Say where? No, this is up for discussion now. Where should we buy land in Lagos? Yes, sir.
There are some conditions which you have to know what is the purpose of the person buying. Because you want to buy a land in commercial area for residential, it's not and void.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to know, ask the person what is his main goal, is it for present or for future? So these are the guides, people guide. And again, the pocket will now determine where the person will buy.
Exactly. Those are things I wanted to hear. They are condition precedent. When somebody says, I want to buy land, and you ask you, where can I buy land in Lagos? Ask him, how much do you have to buy first? Where do you actually even want? Where do you have in mind? If they say, come and buy land in Lagos, or even in Nigeria, like you have people in diaspora, when you speak to them, ask them, where do you want to buy land? If you are going to own land in Nigeria, where would you want to own it? Is it Lagos, Abuja, Akwa Ibom, Plateau State, Sambisa, that's in Borno State? Oh yeah, it's land though. It's war on today, but in future it will be settled. There's no bad land. None. No land is bad. You may not be able to utilize it immediately because of the strife and crisis there. But in future, I don't know if you guys know what I mean. Aha. So, You ask these questions, they will tell you, okay, I want in Lagos. Now, how much, would you have to spend on this? You have to know their budget. That budget will let you know the areas you are recommending to them. If someone says, I want a highbrow area, Omo, Banana Island is sold in billions. So he said, no problem. I want to live near Davido. I want to live near Linda Ikeji. You're talking Banana Island. Do you have the billions for it? Yes, I do. Fine. You proceed. You know that you have no business in this axis. But if not common man like me, like people like me, when we say we manage the scraper, if we say in 1 year don't manage do 50K, before we reach next year, we don't shop 10K out of the 50K again. We will start seeing they go again. Then they recommend. If they recommend, they could do Ekpe Bejuleki give us. Ekpe they Mowe, all those areas. Even Mowe now said don't they out of reach. And Bara, now you go to talk. You understand? You go to recommend those kind of places to people like me. Now there we want time because the story what they hear on a piece of Lagos. Don't just pass through Lagos without Lagos staying with you. No, as you pass through, grab a piece of it. At all, I'm bad pass. No matter what you do, try and own land in Lagos. And they tell you. How many of us own land in Lagos? No, not everybody. You'll be shocked. You should. Some people look at it and say, I'm a lady, I beg, I don't need it. Own it. Own it. Do you understand? Lagos, you see this Lagos now market. Forget anything. One government might come and put policies that are not nice, but it will pass. It will pass. But we will still be here. I don't know if you guys get what I mean. So try, own a piece of Lagos. So that the people you're selling to, when they ask you, do you own land in that place? Will begin to bite your tongue. You will say happily, yes, I own 1, 2, 3 plots. It doesn't matter where, but you own land in Lagos, Sha. You be landowner. Or anywhere for that matter. If Lagos hold no issue, make sure you own land somewhere. It's important. So you tell them about Ibejileki, tell them about Ekpe, tell them about Agbara, tell them about Mowe, whatever the location is, but tell them. And people like me now, the only thing where they work for us now is when they pay small. Where they're going to get patients. So even if I claim it too. See, so basically that's the way it goes. Make I just move first before I go drag me come outside. Ekpe is one of the places you should look to own land. And when people ask you, why Ekpe? These are some of the things you can tell them. Somebody should read out some of these things to us. If someone asks you, why Ekpe? No need to stammer plenty. Are these good enough reasons to sell Ekpe? Nollywood? No, these are just some that this is not exhaustive. Do you know why I put this? Do you guys know why I put this? I added this because I added this in this slide so that because very soon we're going to go to Acropolis and we'll do videos. We're going to actually take a class on how to do a good video. He said? Okay, I'm going to teach how to do videos. Make a good video for yourself. Then after we teach it, the next class that we'll have, we'll go to site and actually practice. Amen. Put G-Wagon and raise on my side now. Amen. So basically that's the reason why I put this. I need you guys to just look at this because some people, when they're making videos at sites, they don't know what to say. You see, talk about Ekpe. You see, I give you a bit of information here. Ekpe, that's the new Lagos. Everything happening is on this axis. How many times do you hear the mainland on news? Development-wise. The only thing you hear about mainland is not really the only thing. Because the reason why you don't hear so much, because mainland has basically filled up to almost capacity. Do you understand? So the spillover, where are the lands that people can move to? Agbara axis is one, but Agbara is not Lagos State, it's Ogun State. So this is the axis that Lagos is coming to. Ekpe is basically the only place, the last place in Lagos you can get cheap lands, affordable lands. After Ekpe, it looks like Lagos don't finish. Now, where is Ekpe located? It's on the north bank of the Lagos Lagoon. Now, Ekpe has two main communities. How many of us knew this before now? Exactly. You see, that's what Angelo does for you. Angelo brings things that is there and then puts in your faces so that you can use. So just know this. There are two parts. So when you're in Ekpe, there is Eko Ekpe and then there is Jebu Ekpe. They are both Ekpe, but just know the difference. Now, the fish market in Ekpe is actually an international fish market where you can find all sizes of fish. Even bushmeat, yes. And Ekpe has a market. Yesterday was the market day. Yeah, general market day. Yes, yesterday was the market day, and it happens every 5 days. Not the fish market, general market day. You can buy a lot of farmers come with their produce. So these are, facts now that you should know. And only waka waka like us, that then they go find all these things. So it has the best road network in Lagos State as of today. Yeah. Best roads in Lagos. And you see these ones now that they are doing, it started from Ekpe, coming down towards inside of Lagos. Again, it's devoid of traffic jams. That tells you the place is not, so far, it's still sparsely populated. There's plenty of room to go in there and do things. It has a calm and serene. Have you ever passed Ekpe and it's rowdy? Normally, Ekpe is very calm and serene. Lagos Smart City is there. Alaro City is there. What is Alaro City? It's a residential, commercial, and industrial hub. If you want to site a company, you go to government, they will allocate land there to you. You want to site an industry, they will do for you. You want residential, they'll do for you. And that place you pay in dollars to government. It's expensive. Ekpe Free Trade Zone area. Part of the Bejuleki Free Trade Zone connects with Ekpe Zone at the back, facing the lagoon. It doesn't end there. The new international airport, that one is on the Elorongbe axis. International seaport, the one for Dangote is already operational. The one for the state government is still under construction. Fourth Mainland Bridge is going to land at Ekpe. These are things, selling points. Yaba Tech, Yaba College of Technology has Ekpe campus, close to the toll gate. Michael Otedala College of Education. It's also there. Lagos State University, Augustine University, Pan-Atlantic University. Then it also has affordable land. It's the most affordable land in Lagos State as at today. Now, there's something a wise man said long ago. Find out where the people are moving to. Get there before them, buy the land, then let them come and meet you. Thank you very much. The Bejuleki is the next. But if you want to have information about Bejuleki, here it is. The Bejuleki has gone far, but it's not fully sold out. Can I move on to the next? You see the things about Bejuleki? It's an investment destination. Companies that are there, located on the bank of Atlantic Ocean. Affordable waterfront land. The thing, every day it keeps rising, but still the most affordable in Lagos. As of today, waterfront land is still in Bejuleki. You can buy it low and sell high. Why? Because all those companies going that way, maybe they will get staff. And the staff will need accommodation for them and their families. But there's not enough accommodation for them yet. So buy land now, build. And there's nothing about companies, not just their staff. If a company attracts, let us say, 10,000 workers and their families, maybe a family, father, mother, 2 children, or 4 children, let's even say. That's 10,000 times, let's say father, mother, 2 children, times 4. That's 40 people, right? 40,000 people already. Now, these 40,000 people, the company needs suppliers. People supplying them with raw materials and people carrying their goods away from there. That's a lot of drivers, a lot of technicians, a lot of mechanics, a lot of this, that. Even we, the real estate sales people, say we go find work, go outside, go they stay. Because as people are building, you have to know who is building and have to know who wants to rent to be able to rent houses to them. Among them, you still find people who will still buy land. So the support services, it will cater to close to, for every one person the company employs, people that will be there to serve the person and his family. You get another maybe 7 to 10 people. So from one company being there that employs 10,000 people, the entire place can grow and have 100,000. Because that family must have a market to buy from. They must have people to grind tomatoes in the market. Somebody must be bringing the goods to the market. Because even the suppliers are being supplied by somebody. So you see, the value chain is long and it is beneficial. Presence of industries where the workers will need accommodation. Coastal Road is running from that way to VI. That coastal road actually is going to start from VI all the way through Lagos, Ondo, everywhere, and end at Bayelsa. Yeah. It's not a state government thing now, federal. Along the coastline. Super highway, yes. That's the coastal road. It's a calm and serene environment so far. Yeah, so far it is. Ibejuleki. Of course. The hustle and bustle of inside Lagos never reached there yet now. If it is well planned, it will never reach there. Now, the need for commercial recreation, sports, and lodgings. See, people go drink beer. People go need where to take their, because everybody living there, they need relaxation spots, have you?
Even now, people are building small.
Bachas.
Yes, and renting it out.
Exactly, because there are no houses yet, so the workers are making do with whatever they find as accommodation. Presence of refinery, petrochemicals, fertilizer plant, Dano milk, Indomie, all these things. Indomie now, they do them, at least for the ones eating within Lagos and environs. Indomie has several plants across Nigeria. What else? The new international seaport is also there. International golf course is there. Yeah, facing the ocean. International Bejuleki. How do I describe it now? No, Lakwe Golf is here now. No, that one is private. So, proximity to Eleko Beach, another beachfront, and it's also affordable. Ekpe is the most affordable, followed by Bejuleki. The others don't go up. And then, do we have questions?